Well, I don't have a hot take here because I'm depressed about this next topic, Rachel.
I was going to say, I think you have a hot take. You just don't like your own hot take.
I don't. The Philadelphia 76ers.
We were excited. 2 weeks ago, we were excited. A week ago, we were excited.
Last week, I went to Sixers Media Day. It was early because the Sixers are now in Abu Dhabi, part of the NBA's international tour. And you and I have discussed the Sixers. I have been overwhelmingly bullish on the Philadelphia 76ers. I thought that they were being underestimated. They were being overlooked. I told you when I got to New York to spend my time with Jason Tatum, I was going to hammer the over on the number of wins. I hammered the over, Rachel. 42.5. I hammered the over. Hammered the over on wins. And then media day rolls around, and I'm sitting there, and Joel Embiid comes out, and it's immediately all this stuff that you heard last year. Like I don't know when he's going to be available to play. We're checking all the boxes. We're taking it day by day. Like he might as well have had the cliche handbook in front of him going, yep, checking all the boxes day by day, doing the best that we can, listening to the doctors, all these things that really told you nothing about where he's at. Like, I guess, he's not, or at least I don't think he's playing full contact 5-on-5. I know Paul George isn't there yet as he comes back from his knee injury. I don't know, like the Sixer alarms went off. Embiid, a little shaky on his status. Paul George, shaky on his status. Jared McCain, already hurt, gets hurt again with a tear in his hand this time, freak injury. Quentin Grimes, still unsigned. If you believe the agent, there is a country mile between what the Sixers want to pay Quentin Grimes and what Quentin Grimes wants to be paid. I don't know. I swear to God, I was sitting there in Camden at the Sixers facility listening to Embiid, and I'm going like, I might need another job to pay off.
Pay off the money you put into over being on the Sixers?
The over on the 76ers, going all in, chips in on the 76ers. Were you alarmed by what you heard coming out of Philadelphia?
I was disappointed, man. We've had a lot of time. I thought he had the surgery a little later than I expected. He didn't play for months before he had the surgery in the spring. And I was disappointed that time sort of passed by, which was going to edge into this time. I would like to have heard something more definitive. I would have liked to have heard just a little more, and I've talked about this for weeks, a little more comfort from Embiid, just in his voice sounding as if, I can do this.
There was no comfort there. There was no confidence. There was nothing.
I'll have to see how it is. We'll see how it feels. The goal is the end of the season. Look, this could be, it's a possibility that this is the first chapter to a story that goes, they were really cautious at the beginning of the year. He didn't get hurt. By the time it was February, he was playing regularly. And by the time it was playoffs, that's 5 or 6 months and he was ready to go. That could be the first chapter of that book. That book is hard to find, though. That book is checked out at the library because it can also be the first chapter of, and the Sixers season was a disaster again. And there's plenty of those books sitting around. So we'll have to see, but it wasn't encouraging. And I was bummed out, man, because, Joel Embiid is a good guy and it has been a tough career with all of these injuries. And there are a lot of people around the Sixers who work very hard and do a lot. Nick Nurse is a good coach. He was coach of the year. And there is a promising young core there. And I just, it'd be nice to have another really competitive team in the East. And it was disappointing to hear that, at least from the beginning, we're probably not going to get that.
Yeah. Look, there are reasons to believe that it can all come together. I think Paul George in year 2 is going to be more comfortable in his role than he was last season, because that was part of the struggle last year. Injuries were the biggest part, but the role was part of the struggle. I thought it was encouraging for Philadelphia. He was asked specifically about playing power forward with this team, and he embraced that. He's like, this is kind of where I'm at this point. That's a good sign for Philadelphia, because you need to get something close to the all-star from 2 years ago back from Paul George. I think Tyrese Maxey can have an awesome year. He was talking about how the offseason he had about the year before, because of his contract status, he couldn't go full bore early on. This one, full bore. He was leading a lot of stuff, off-season activities. He's clearly embraced that role with the team. I think he's going to get right back to that all-star level this year. I think if McCain can misses 4 weeks of the regular season, he's going to be a factor with this team. If you can get Grimes back in, he can be a factor again with this team. They are 8-9 deep with real quality playoff
You're talking
worthy.
Yourself back into
I'm not, because here's the punchline. None of it matters. Yeah. None of it matters if Joel Embiid is a part-time player or if he's just dragging that leg up and down the floor in the games that he's playing. Now, I look, the days of him playing 60-plus games are long gone. But I wrote this in my column, he's got to get to 50, because you got to develop chemistry with these guys. You can't just microwave it and say just because your talent level exceeds that of most other teams in the Eastern Conference, that you can just automatically expect to win. They've got to get them out there 50, 55 games, healthy going into the playoffs and ready to go. And this is, I said this last week, say it again, the most important season maybe in 76ers history. I'm going to go that far. Maybe in Philadelphia 76ers history. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Somebody will remind me on Twitter. I'm sure that I'm screwing up. They're a much more important one. But there's no Boston this year, Rachel. There's no Indiana this year. Cleveland is a flawed team. Orlando is a flawed team. New York is a flawed team. The upper tier of the Eastern Conference, they're all beatable. And Philadelphia, their talent level is as good or better than everybody else in the conference. But they need Joel to be something close to Joel. He can't be the 44% shooter from last year who averaged 11 points per game less than he did the year before. He's got to be out there, healthy, being Joel Embiid. If he is, they're going to be great. If he's not, they're going to be awful. Once again,
it's also just they have to have more clarity in the organization. And I didn't hear that on media day either, which was, again, a bummer and sad, because last year, one of the problems internally was that the other players, the coaches, they didn't feel like they knew. It almost turned into a Kawhi Leonard Spurs situation, right? Where it was sort of like Joel's and his team are the only ones who know whether he's going to play that night. And coaches didn't know what to do with their lineups and things like that. And I just think that caused a lot of bad feelings, right? And we heard about a few of those stories. And if that is the situation again this year, if it's like, I don't know if I'm going to play or not, and no one knows, and we don't know until he warms up and all of that, I think that is going to be very sort of derisive in terms of inside the locker room and what happens there. And I just worry if that's the setup again. So my hope for that team is some clarity. Regardless of what Joel can and can't do, I just think that the organization from the top needs to draw some pretty clear lines of, hey, even if it's shoot around, you can't walk out of shoot around and say you're playing, you're not playing, right? So that at least everybody gets there to the game, to the arena, and knows what they're doing. There's always another game tomorrow. It's the NBA.
Yeah. I did think it was interesting where he said that he may have to adjust his game to be, it's kind of saying more one-dimensional. I'm putting words in his mouth a little bit there, but he said, like, maybe I can't go full bore on both ends of the floor the way that I want to. Whatever it takes. Like, when he comes back, it's got to be consistent. It's got to be like skip the 3 games in 4 nights, skip one of those games. Don't play in back-to-backs. We get all that. That's part of, maintenance for a player at this stage and with this injury. But there can't be like 3-week stretches where he's out dealing with swelling in the knee. That is going to be a death knell to this 76ers season. So, I hope I don't lose that bet, because that's a bet that I can win. If he plays 60 games, they're going to win like 45
We're going
at
to
least.
distract us throughout the season.